This is DZ1JZA, Delta Zulu 1 Juliet Zulu Alpha, an experimental low-power shortwave radio station, broadcasting on 14010 or 14015 kHz shortwave. Welcome to DZ1JZA, now signing on the air. And mabuhay ang Republika ng Pilipinas.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Matano Aguila International. Now for the headlines. President Ferdinand. Thank you for choosing Matanang Agri International as your trusted news source, keeping you connected to the world and on point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to ECNET 25 TV.
You just heard Matanang Agila International of Net 25 in Manila, Philippines. Over DZ1 JCA, an experimental shortwave radio station. Thank you for listening. You have been listening to DZ1 JZA, Delta Zulu 1 Juliet Zulu Alpha, an experimental low-powered shortwave radio station on the frequency of 14010 or 14015 kHz shortwave. This is DZ1JZA, concludes for another broadcasting activities. Now signing off. Once again, thank you for listening.
And now we go to Henry Umatay in the Philippines with his DX report for December.
Merry Christmas, everyone. To all of your shortwave listeners, welcome to the December edition of the Philippine DX. This is report number 201. I'm Henry Umatay in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines. Glad to be back and thank you for listening. I would like to thank the following DXers for sending the reception report most recently. Mr. Jan Satoy Alvarez in Cavite in the Philippines, Mr. Richard Lemke in Alberta, Canada, Mr. Chris Campbell in Ohio, USA, and Mr. Marcus Copeland in Manitoba, Canada. To all of you, thank you very much. Reception lands for November 2023. November 2, Radio New Zealand International on 13755 in English from Ranjitati at 4915 SIO 5. November 3, Voice of America on 12080 in Korean from Penang at 1210 SIO 444. November 3, Voice of Korea on 13760 in Russian from Puchang at 1130 SIO 443. November 3, China Radio International on 17510 in Filipino from Manning at 1206 SIO 333. November 6, RTIY Limbang FM on 11665 in Malayalam from Tanchang at 0839 SIO 555. November 6, Radio Taiwan International on 9740 in Japanese from Paochang at 1125 SIO 555. November 10, for Christian Broadcaster KNLS on 9625 in English from White at 1235 SIO 333. November 17, Radio Farda on 13600 in Persian from Wadantani at 0520 SIO 444. November 21, FABC Radio 9795 in Vietnamese from Iba Zambales at 1145 SIO 333. November 23, KBS World Radio 9770 in English from Kim J at 0850 SIO 555. November 23, NSK World Radio Japan 9750 in Japanese from Yamata at 1230 SIO 555. November 29, Radio Free Asia 15155 in Khmer from Tinian Island at 1235 SIO 444. And November 30, Radio Thailand on 9385 in English from Odentani at 1220 SIO 444. Send us your comments, suggestions, reception logs, and information to PilipinasDX@gmail.com. That's PILIPINASDX for PilipinasDX@gmail.com. This is Reed Henry Umatay for Wavescan in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines, saying maligayang Pasko sa inyong lahat. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you very much, Henry, and Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas, Bermuda. Thanks for listening to Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio. Researched and written in Indianapolis by Adrian Peterson and in Los Angeles by Ray Robinson. Next week, we'll have a special program about broadcasting in the Christmas Islands. Wavescan is heard weekly on KSDA in Guam, AWR relays in various locations, WRMI in Florida, WWCR in Tennessee, Voice of Hope Africa in Zambia, and IRRS Italy. Send reception reports directly to the station you're listening to. Reports for KSDA and AWR sites should go to qsl@awr.org. Other correspondence, not reception reports, can be sent to wavescan@awr.org. I'm Jeff White at WRMI Shortwave in Okeechobee, Florida. Till next week, Merry Christmas and good listening, everyone.
This is the Adventist World Radio.
From the beautiful Pacific island of Guam, this is Adventist World Radio, the voice of hope. Now concluding our educational and inspirational programs at 100,000 watts. This station is owned and operated by Adventist Broadcasting Services Incorporated and is part of the Adventist World Radio Network of international broadcast stations. On behalf of the staff and management of Adventist World Radio, I'm Greg Scott, thanking you for joining us.
Sa famille pensait qu'elle ne pourrait plus l'emmener faire
des sorties et la vie de cet homme était devenue très sombre. Mais par la suite, nous l'avons emmené avec nous et aujourd'hui, à chaque fois que nous l'avons au téléphone, il demande d'aller en boîte de nuit. Quelque chose qui le fascine. Nous y sommes allés tous ensemble.
Selon la pyramide de Maslow, qui hiérarchise les besoins des êtres humains, les interactions sociales sont un besoin très important. Bien à l'écoute de Radio Taïwan International, diffusée depuis Tamsui, Taïwan. Notre activité annuelle de diffusion directe depuis le site de transmission de Tamsui, dans le nord de Taïwan. Merci de nous faire parvenir des rapports d'écoute à fren@rti.org.tw. Les rapports d'écoute seront confirmés par une carte française, édition 2023 du service français. Bonne écoute à toutes et à tous.
L'emmener faire des sorties et la vie de cet homme était devenue très sombre. Mais par la suite, nous l'avons emmené avec nous et aujourd'hui, à chaque fois que nous l'avons au téléphone, il demande d'aller en boîte de nuit. C'est quelque chose qui le fascine. Nous y sommes allés tous ensemble.
Selon la pyramide de Maslow, qui hiérarchise les besoins des êtres humains, les interactions sociales sont un besoin très important. En effet, les liens émotionnels avec les autres.
Merci de m'accueillir pour discuter de ton parcours de journaliste taïwanaise installée en France. Alors on va parler de deux choses dans cette interview. Donc à la fois le fait que tu es une journaliste ici qui travaille en France pour les médias taïwanais, en l'occurrence l'agence centrale de presse. Et on va aussi parler de ton travail un peu plus tard de ton doctorat, de ta thèse que tu as aussi réalisée en France. Alors pour commencer, moi je voudrais savoir qu'est-ce qui pousse peut-être une
Ici Radio Taïwan International. Tout de suite, Le Guang vous propose l'émission Retour à la source. Vous venez de suivre le programme en langue française de Radio Taïwan International, diffusé sur la fréquence 6005 kHz vers l'Europe et l'Afrique du Nord de 19h à 19h30 temps universel. Retrouvez notre programme complet sur notre site internet fr.rti.org.tw. Merci de votre écoute.
The following broadcast is encoded with comb stereo for AM shortwave. For information on how to decode comb stereo, visit rnei.org/stereo. Radio Northern Europe International.
You're tuned to Radio Northern Europe International, Song of the Month with scandypop.co.uk. 番組へようこそ。これは日本語の番組です。さっきの歌は台湾から水木メッデイバイデイでした。私はこの歌のジャズの音が大好きです。そして次はタイガルステイツ。
Memory Lane, listen to some early Sun radio commercials and radio jingles. One of the most successful jingle production companies was Pam's, P-A-M-S, in Dallas, Texas. Pam's was closely associated with Gordon McLean, KLIF 1190 in Dallas, which was one of the first stations to adopt the new Top 40 format in 1954. Story this week, how the jingle business developed and how jingles spread not only throughout North America, but across the Atlantic and around the world.
Thanks, Jeff. In 1960, Gordon McClendon took a vacation to Sweden to visit his friend Jack Pottrat. he was amazed at how dull Swedish state radio sounded and became aware that offshore stations had been set up off the Polish and Dutch coasts to broadcast pop music and commercials with government control. Gordon invited Jack to come visit him in Dallas and see how radio was done in Texas. Jack stayed in Dallas, and after listening to KLIS for a week, they together decided that an offshore venture, complete with film-style jingles, should be set up off the coast of Stockholm. And thus, the idea for Radio North was born, which Jack began to organise before he could return. In the USA at that time, many TV stations were converting from black and white to colour. Radio stations didn't want to be left out. So never mind how nonsensical it may have been to apply the concept to radio, many radio stations claimed they'd gone colour too. In 1957, Gordon McClendon had bought a station in Shreveport, Louisiana, KEEL 710, which he converted to a top 40 format and modelled after the very successful KLIS in Dallas. Here's an example of Pam's colour jingle for KEEL, followed by the version that was used by Radio North, sung in Swedish by the Henry Fox Show Orchestra in Stockholm.
It's a brand new kind of radio, KEEL new radio, Sihuadon color. Sihuadon color radio is bright and brilliant radio, yes, Sihuadon color. News and music only fun and business. Say goodbye to radio and business. 'Cause Sihuadon color radio, a brand new kind of radio on KEEL.
AM, but is a news talk station. Radio Nord opened off Stockholm in 1961 and operated very successfully for 17 months until government legislation and the harsh winters of the Baltic Sea forced its closure. And while we're on the subject of colour radio, European listeners may remember when Radio Luxembourg got in on the act, albeit with jingles sung with British accents. Jingle was from Luxembourg's 1964 package. The similarities at that time between stations and Pam's jingles were obvious, whether in Los Angeles, New York, or Europe. 1964 was also the year many of the British offshore stations got their start. Caroline was the first in March, she joined by Radio Atlanta a few weeks later. Other smaller stations followed during that summer based on former wartime forts in the Thames estuary. But then the largest and most professional of them all arrived in December. Radio London, set up entirely with Texan funding.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
The managing director of Radio London was Philip Birch, and here he explains why they went to Pam's in Dallas for their jingles.
We knew that one of those jingles, someone needs it for the whole sort of sound and the speed of presentation of the vitality of the station. So we went to Athens, because one of my colleagues lives in Dallas, and so that was it. But of course I knew of Pam's because I lived in New York for many years, and among other things, supplied the jingles for New York's most successful entertainment station, which was WABC.
Filled with their 50,000-watt transmitter, fast-paced presentation style, disciplined top 40 formats, and personality DJs, the station quickly established itself as the market leader. The jingles were an instant success and differentiated the station from all the others. But in spite of the success of the station, some of the Texan backers disagreed with the use of British DJs and wanted the station to sound more American, more like a clone of KLIS or WABC, which they thought would have wider appeal throughout Northwest Europe. So in 1965 they left and set about creating their own station and purchased the MV Olga Processor, which arrived off the British coast in May 1966. It was carrying not one but two stations, Radio England with a top 40 format and Britain Radio with an easy listening format, and both were staffed mostly by American DJs. These stations came complete with the newest PAMS jingle packages. For bringing Radio England, they had PAMS Jet Set Series 27. The fastest in the air. Radio, they had the smart set, doing 28 watts, which had been created for ROR stations. Started test transmissions, including playing the full set of jingles. A few hundred yards away, Emperor Roscoe on Radio Caroline South duly recorded them all over a radio, and promptly set about editing them with a tape splicing kit, replacing the name Swinging Radio England with that of Caroline instead. By the next day, Caroline had a full set of classic PAMS jingles too. Also in Dallas, modelled after the Batman craze that was going on at the time. Mind you, Radio England wasn't above saving some money either. While they were at Spot, they put on the demo carts for WPTR 1540 in Albany, New York, and gave all their own DJs aliases, the same as the names used on WPTR. 1967, most of the British offshore stations were closed, and the BBC announced plans for their own pop music service, Radio 1. Up until that time, there hadn't been any jingles on the BBC, and the controller of the new channel, Robin Scott, had been given the brief to make it sound as much like Radio London as possible. Here's Philip Birch again.
On Radio London, and it got these jingles from Paris and an organisation in Dallas. Radio London got its jingles, well, Radio 1 went to the organisation. Wonderful radio. The girls using it. They were nine large on the top 40s with jingles. And of course it hired a lot of news announcers. And so suddenly Radio 1 was Radio London without the commercials.
So here's an example. Spot the scenario. In the 1970s, a whole raft of big stations in Europe and jingle production in the UK became big business for companies such as Alpha Sound and Steve England Productions. In the USA, Pams finally closed their doors in 1978 when both top 40 music and radio marketing were headed in entirely different directions. Other production companies in the USA took up the slack, and for the next 12 years, Pam's style jingles were produced by CPMG, run by Ken R. Deutsch and Ben Friedman, utilising the vocal talents of the Johnny Marr singers. And then in 1990, the original Pams Corporation, including all its copyrights, were purchased by Jam Creative Productions, also in Dallas. Jam founder Jonathan M. Wolfert had been employed by Pams before he and his wife Mary Lynn Wolfert started their own company in 1974. Jam currently produces new versions of the classic Pams jingle packages over the original Pams backing tracks. They're very popular with oldies stations worldwide. Pam's address was just as famous as its jingles. The studios were located at 4141 Office Parkway, which is now part of the City Place district of Dallas. Marketing genius and promoter Bill Meeks passed away on September the 8th, 1999, losing a battle with cancer. He left behind an unequaled legacy of fond memories for those who were teenagers in the 50s, 60s and 70s. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks very much, Ray Robinson at the Voice of Hope in Los Angeles for the second part of his history of radio jingles here on Wayscan. Just Jake.